everybody, welcome to another drive-through Let's Play. Today we're going to cover RUMBLESLAM. Now this is a new game coming out from TT Combat, was released a little bit earlier this year. And as the name and cover image might suggest, this is a wrestling game. So what you're going to be doing in this game is each player is going to take on a team of wrestlers, and usually those wrestlers are going to belong to a specific casino or house, but you can mix the wrestlers however you want, but you do get a bonus if everybody's from the same casino. So you're going to take a group of wrestlers, you kind of set a point cost or a money cost that you're going to use to purchase your team and build that up. You're going to hit that limit, and then you're going to play with probably 3 to 5, maybe 6 wrestlers depending. Now I'm going to show you a game here of 6 wrestlers, basically 2 teams of 5, and then each of them has a special superstar bonus character that you might recognize, you may not. I think you probably will if you ever watched WWE or WWF in the 80s and 90s. So let's go ahead and jump into the game, and then I will come back and do a review either at the end of this video or in a follow-up video right as I post this one online. So let's jump in and take a look at it. So I've gone ahead and set up the game as a 2-player game. You can play this with 3 and 4 players, but I think it's kind of mainly designed as a 2-player game. Now the first thing to note here is this board, but this is actually a mat. So it's kind of a mouse pad, styrene type of material that you see in a lot of war game mats and stuff. This actually does come in the box, and they do have kind of 3D MDF rings that you can build and paint if you want, but this is what comes in the box. But if you want to get really fancy, you could do that. And the other thing to note are the 2 teams here. Now we have the green bruisers, which are a bunch of orcs, and then that big troll there, and then the heavy pounders here, which are mostly like humanoids. Just to give you a little bit of a sense, I'm not the greatest painter in the world, but here is the troll. These are really nice miniatures. They're kind of resin, and they're very, very sturdy. They're not like most resin miniatures that I've worked with, and you can see they have the clear bases, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to take a look here at one of our kind of special ones. Let's see if you can recognize who that may or may not have a likeness to. His name is Gun, if that's any clue. And then we'll take a look here at the big fella here for the heavy pounders. This guy here, he's got his big old beefy gloves there. So he's a pretty cool miniature. I like that one quite a bit. And then our special character here is called Ronnie Salvage there. Whoops, let's focus a little bit. So he may or may not look like another somewhat famous wrestler from the 80s and 90s. And then I'll just show you a couple of these others here, but these are very easy to assemble. There's very little assembly involved. A lot of these are one-piece minis, and I think I had to put, let's see, the arm on this guy, and then I had to put the hands on this guy. This is one of the green bruisers. Now he's a grappler, and there's kind of like 2 styles of wrestlers. The grapplers, which are better at kind of close combat, picking up and throwing and that kind of stuff. And then his sort of counterpart here is a brawler, so he's better at punching and doing damage. So the object of the game is to basically throw the entire other team out of the match. So let's think of it like a Royal Rumble, but with teams. Now I've gone ahead and deployed these as you would at setup, but first before we jump into the game, let's look at the card stats on a couple of the different models here. So I'm showing you here the Orc Brawler and then Gun. Now he's a superstar. So you can see here the cost. This is $200,000 and $270,000 or gold or whatever the currency is called. And it gives you the most important stat here are the various different abilities, the basic abilities here. So like when the Orc Brawler does an attack, he's going to roll 2 silver die and 1 copper die. Now there's also a gold die here that you can see, and these have a different number of sort of successes. The copper die is sort of the weakest with the least amount of successes and the most blanks, going up to silver, and then gold, which has the most successes on it. So you can see his attack here is equal to what Gun's attack is, but if we look here at our little goblin grappler, his attack is only 1 copper die, so he's not very effective. And so then you've got attack, defense. So this is what you're going to roll when somebody attacks you. You've got grappling, so when you try to grapple each other, then you're both rolling grappling. And you have dexterity, which is going to come in when you maybe get tossed out of the ring. Then you've got its hit points here, and so you could put these in sleeves if you want and kind of use dry erase markers to mark it off. I usually just use a little red D6 there to kind of mark that. And then it has the number of actions that you get during the round, number of action points, I should say, number of movement points, and it gives you sort of a quick reference here to its different special abilities, which are going to be on the back there. And so it shows you the different special abilities. And then there's a crowd pleaser ability that everybody has. And you can roll these crowd pleaser dice here. And these are going to do different special effects. And these actually might get triggered through other actions in the game. And this is kind of the crowd cheering or booing, supporting or not supporting your character. So that's really all there is to it. There is also here the weight, which may or may not come into play. That's kind of the size of the wrestler. Like the big fella here, he's a weight 3. Most of them are weight 2, unless they're really, really small. Like perhaps this halfling there, he's only a weight 1 there. And then you have the popularity here, which is if you want to take the kind of basic crowd pleaser action that they have, this is the number of action points it's going to cost you. So you can see here our superstar is very popular. It's only going to use up 1 of his action points to do that. And then you have the throw, which is the throw range, how far you can throw them. But that's the basics of the different characters. We've also got a variety of reference cards here. We've got the basic actions, some of the different iconography, a little cheat sheet there. Then you have these beat downs and reversals. So this is a very interesting type of thing. So if you succeed in an attack, then you'll do a damage. But if you really succeed, then you'll get different bonuses like this. On the other hand, you might be possible to actually pull off a reversal, so you have to be a little bit wary and risky, maybe attacking somebody that you really have no business attacking. They can do a reverse, and then that can kind of backfire on you as well. Now the last card here to note is this initiative card. And you're going to start off the game, you're going to each roll a gold die, like so. And so I did all this prior, but whoever has the highest is going to get the initiative, and then they're going to place their wrestler out first, then you're going to go back and forth. And then after everybody's done with setup, the player with the initiative card, in this case the Orc player, the green blueser player, is going to then select a wrestler to be their first wrestler. Once they've selected a wrestler, then the opposing player is going to select a wrestler. So just for fun here, we're going to say the Orc Brawler was selected, and then the human counteracted by selecting their ogre here. And what you're going to look at here is the dex ability here. So we have got 2 copper and 2 copper. So you're going to roll off. So first we're going to roll for the orc, and so they got 1 success, and now we're going to roll off for the ogre, and you can see they got 3 successes. So in that case, the human bruiser player is going to take the initiative card, and they have to activate the ogre first, and then the green player will then of course have to activate their Orc Brawler, but then they can alternate in whatever order they choose, starting with any wrestlers that are left. So the ogre's only got a movement of 3. What he's going to do is just kind of move into the center of the ring to give a little bit of presence. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. You can move diagonally. He's going to square off with them. That's all he's really going to do. Now he could have, if I wanted, have him bounce off the rope, but I'm just going to kind of slowly move him out there. I'll go into all the different abilities here as we play. So we'll go ahead and just tap that card there, and just to signify that he's been activated. Now remember, we selected the Orc Brawler as who we made the initiative test with, so we have to activate them as the green player. So we're going to do something a little fun here. We're going to move him down 1. Now the Orc Brawler has a movement of 4. You can break up movement with activation. So they've got 4 activation points and 4 movement. So we've moved 1. We're going to use an activation point now to spring off the rope. And the way that works is you spend the activation point, then you run 5 steps. This doesn't use up your movement. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But we've run into another player. If you get interrupted, then you get to make an immediate attack. Now in actual fact, I'm going to use a special ability of the Orc Brawler. So you can see they have a special rope ability. You've got rope abilities, turnbuckle abilities, and then just kind of special abilities that you can trigger off. So instead of using the normal 1 action point, this special ability costs 2 action points, but it has a different ability. So during the attack movement, deal 1 damage to any enemy wrestler in an adjacent square. And we're going to roll 3 copper and add 1 instead of rolling our normal attack, which would be 2 copper and 2 silver. You always add, if you just do the normal attack, an extra copper die. So in this case, normal attack would be 1 copper, 2 silver, but since we went off the rope, we add a copper. But let's go ahead and try this one instead. We're going to spend 2 action points, roll 3 copper plus 1. We've already done a damage because we use this ability. So if we look here, we're going to have 3 copper plus 1. The ogre has a defense of 3 silver. So this is going to be easy to roll here. We're going to just roll that out. And so we've got 3 to 3, but we've got plus 1, so it's 4 to 3. So in this case, we're going to do 2 damage. We got 1 damage from the ability, and then 1 damage with the successful attack. And I'm just going to go ahead and mark this guy here with 2 damage on him. Now for my last two activations, I'm going to just hit him twice. I'm going to just do two basic attacks. So his normal attack here is 2 silver and a copper. So let's go ahead and just roll that out. And so, whoa, we got quite a bit there. And then we're going to roll the defense again for the ogre here, and he rolled very, very poorly. So this is going to be 2, 5, 6 to 2, which is actually going to cause a beatdown. So if we take a look here at this card, a beatdown of 4 or more is going to give you an extra damage. So that's 2 damage that we're going to do to the ogre. So let's go ahead and do that again. We'll go ahead and roll our attack. In this case we got 4, and now we're going to roll that, and so we got 5 now, so that's not going to do anything because 5 beats 4, so the defense there. So now we've got here a total of 4 damage on the ogre. Now for the next human activation, we're going to have the halfling brawler move up here onto the turnbuckle space, and you can actually jump out a certain amount of range. He's got a range of 6 here, so he's just outside of range, but you can do some different really devastating effects there. But you also got to be careful because you could get knocked off and put out of the ring from up there. And before I forget, I'm just going to put a little bit of a round counter there. So we're in round 1, and again, you play 5 rounds unless you've thrown the other guys out of the ring. At that point, you're going to total up whoever has the most gold value worth of wrestlers left, and then that will be the winner. I think for the next activation, we're going to move the troll here. He only moves 3, so we're going to go, whoops, 1, 2, 3, and move him just over there. He's now a little bit protected because remember we activated this guy already, so he's just going to be sitting there for a little bit. So we'll go ahead and tap his card. We've activated him. Now at this point I might have done the crowd pleaser action for him. I'm going to wait and do that until the second round. Let's see, so the next person we're going to activate here is this halfling. So he's going to do a push off there for 1 action point, and he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You always go in a directly straight line. Now he's got a movement of 4, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll use our activation point then to move up to the top of that turnbuckle there. Now we've spent 2 activation, 1 to push off the rope, 1 to climb the turnbuckle. So we've got 3 activation points left, and he's got this bowling bomb here. So we're going to flip this card over and we're going to see what that does here. So he's got 3 activation points, so you can spend that, and it has a range of 6, and you can see you're going to roll 2 silver and do 3 damage if you get it off successfully. So when you're counting range on one of these attacks, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the target square, so you need to be within range of the target square, and then you must place your wrestler adjacent to that particular model. So it could, if I wanted to, place him over on this side so you can actually get a little bit of extra room, but I'm not going to do that because he's a little bit vulnerable to a lot of folks. So I'm just going to put him right here. He's a little bit protected from those guys up here, and so he's going to roll his 3 silver against the defense of the brawler. So we've got 3 silver here, and that's going to be a result of 5, and the brawler's defense is a copper and a silver, and that's 3. So 5 is going to be 3, and so that's 3 damage then now that we're going to mark on the brawler's card. And that's all of his 5 activation points. Now next for the Green Bruisers, we're going to activate this Goblin Brawler. Now he has a movement of 5, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can see I've got a line into this guy here. So he's going to spend an activation point, which is going to go 1, 2, 3. So he's interrupted, so bam, he can do an attack there. And he has a special ability as well. So we've used up all our movement. We used up 1 of our 5 activations. Now we're going to do this pin missile, which is a rocket. And what rocket means is you can actually bounce off and go 8 spaces. So you can really clear the ring, but we didn't really need that extra movement here. So we're going to spend 2 action points. So if its attack fails to hit, this wrestler takes damage. So it's a little bit of a risk, but you can do 2 damage. And these little weenie guys, the halflings and the goblins, don't have very many hit points. So we're going to use our 2 silver plus 1. So 2 silver plus 1, so that's a total of 4. And then the grappler has a defense of 1 silver die. So they're going to beat that. Not enough for a beatdown, but that is enough here to do 2 damage. And you can see these guys don't have very many hit points. He's only got 3 hit points left there based on that little bar there. So the human grappler here has now had enough of that. So they need to get out here. So they could go 1, 2, 3. And so this guy's kind of left himself vulnerable there. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, like so. And he actually has a movement of 4, so I'm just going to move him out just a little bit out this way like that. He's going to attempt to now pick this fella up here. So we're going to roll the grappling stat. So the human brawlers are going to roll a copper and a silver, and they add 1. Unfortunately, they rolled very poorly. They only got 1, and the Brawler, however, only has a copper defense. Oh, so they got 0. So that was just enough to beat them. So they're able now to lift them and pick them up. So we're going to take the model off of the board, and then you go ahead and just put it on the card of the player or the model that is currently lifting them. And then now we're going to be able to throw it. So we're going to use our second action point out of our 4 to throw it. Now you can see here's the range of 4 that they can throw. So there's a few things that you can do with the throw. You can turn this guy into a missile. Maybe we could throw him into that character there. We can throw him into the ropes to kind of bounce him off, and they'll also bounce off and run 5. At that point, then you would get to attack. So if we threw him into the rope, and then he would bounce off, and then we could punch him or do that. But what we want to do is we want to toss him out of the ring. So in this case, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's plenty of room. So we're going to try to toss him off there. Now, it's a little bit of a risk that we're doing here. Typically what you want to do is you want to get them knocked down and knocked out. At that point, if you lift them up, it's very easy to lift them up at that point, and then it's an instant throw out of the ring. But this guy still has his wits about him, so we're going to roll his dexterity, which in his case is 3 copper die. Now, when you get thrown out of the ring, you need to roll at least 3 successes, and that will prevent it. You kind of grab the rope as you are getting tossed out. But if you fail, then you're out, and then that's 1 model removed, and effectively think of it as a victory point for the other team. So we're going to roll 3 copper and try to get 3 success, and we did. So you can see we got the 3 success. Now, since we failed, we're just going to put him in the closest spot there. But we can try to do our crowd pleaser. You can see he's got a popularity of 1, and one thing I forgot, which I should have done with the ogre, is the Ronnie Salvage here, the Macho Man. He's got a special ability, which I just totally spaced out, of Booyah, and it says all friendly wrestlers are pop 1. So all the wrestlers on his team can do for 1 action point. You know, you use the number of your popularity, that's the number of action points it costs to try to do your crowd pleaser. So we'll flip him over, and this is going to come into effect on the next turn. So this wrestler gets 1 AP counter. So on the next action, he's going to have 5 actions. So we're going to go ahead and roll this, and we're going to roll that there, and we got a cheer, so that's a success. And now it's cool because I can show you some of these cool acrylic bits that come with the game, which I didn't show you earlier. So it comes with all these acrylic bits that you can punch out, and we're going to find here the plus activation counter there. So that's going to add an extra 1 of those. You don't get those until the following turn, but now he's got 5 action points. And you can attempt this as many times as you want, but you can only ever have 1 successful crowd pleaser, even if you trigger it through other means, and you don't want to roll a boo action because that's actually going to have a negative effect on you. Which in this case, if we'd have failed, we would have got a negative AP counter, so next turn we would have only had 3. So we can't really do anything else with this wrestler, but we're going to waste that last action point, but now he's got 5 for the next turn. Now it is worth noting that a lot of these kind of like modifiers and things are very easily referenced on the card. There's also a couple of quick reference pages in the back, you know, like the +1 on the rope attack, the effects of rolling, the boos and the cheers and all that stuff. And I don't have any characters here, but sometimes you'll get a heel character where you actually want to roll the boos, kind of the evil character that the crowd hates, but he wants the crowd to hate him because that's getting him fired up. So he actually wants boos on that die. So now let's go ahead and activate one of our superstars here. We're going to activate Gun. He's going to move diagonal 1, diagonal 2, use an action point to come off the rope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just going to take him adjacent. Now he does have a special rope ability, but I want to show you another aspect of the game. So I'm going to have him just try to attack him 3 times because he's got 3 more action points that he can use. And he's quite a hefty attack. So we're going to use Gun's attack, which is 3 silver, against the 2 silver of the human grappler. So let's roll that. So we got 3 success there against the 2. So that's 3 to 1 there. So that's 1 damage coming through. So we're going to do it a second time. This is much more. So this is 5 successes against these 2. That's only 2. Now he beat it by 3, so he needs to beat it by 1 more to do a reversal. So that's another damage. That's 2 damage. Now he wants to do the same action a 3rd time. Now, if you do that, then the crowd may or may not like you just doing the same action over and over and over again. So before you make that 3rd attempt, you've committed to do it, we're going to roll the crowd pleaser die. Okay, here we've got a boo. That was bad. And so that's actually going to end the activation. So we won't get the attempt. We're also going to lose an action point in the following round. Now, if we were to try to do it a fourth time, let's say we had another action, then at that point you're going to roll 2 of these dice, and then you're just looking to not get boos when you do that. So the chances of the crowd being displeased with your repetitive, wrestling skills goes up the more you do the same thing over and over again. But we did get 2 damage through. So we'll go ahead and mark the 2 damage there on the grappler. And then we'll mark a gun here with the negative action point modifier and tap him because we used him. And the humans are going to activate Ronnie Salvage here. He's just going to move 3, 1, 2, 3. He's not going to waste any time doing his special crowd ability. There's no reason really to do it this late in the round. He's a good one actually to activate at the beginning of the round. You'll kind of see next round as things kind of shake out. But he'll have a good effect on his whole team for the round. So at this point, the Green Bruisers still have these 2 guys in the back there. They can't really get to anybody. They've kind of built a nice screen here, and these are both grapplers. So they want to get into a point where, they can get close and get to somebody that's close to the edge of the ring, maybe to try their luck at that. So I'm just going to move this guy up here, 1, 2, and then an action point to get up to there. And let's do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He could hit him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's too far away there. So you don't have any line of sight blocking because effectively he's jumping over everybody. So let's make sure I counted that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he could, land there and try to hit him. So I'm going to go ahead and have him try his snot drop ability. So he's going to jump over there, and I'm just going to leave him tucked back in here, sort of surrounded and protected by those fellas there. So as well, he only used the 1 movement point and 1 action point so far, so he can move away as well once he executes this, most likely. So he's going to do a snot drop here, so that's 3 action points. So he's going to have 1 left over when we do that. He's going to do 3 copper, and it does 3 damage there. So in this case, we're going to roll with 3 copper, and we got 5 successes there, and it's just 1 silver for the defense there. So he got that. He's going to lay 3 more damage onto the grappler, and that's enough to knock him out. So when we're going to do that, we're going to put on one of the little knockout counters there, those red X's. We'll just go ahead and clear that off for now. And when you get knocked out, when your stamina here goes to 0, you're going to get knocked out and knocked down. Now there are other ways that it will knock you down. So he's going to be knocked down here in this position, and now he's going to be very, very easy to pick up and an automatic toss out of the ring. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to use the activation point to attempt to lift him. Now typically we would roll off each of our grappler stats, but if you're knocked out like that, your grappling stat becomes your weight -1. So in this case he has a weight of 0, so we just need 1 success to be able to pick them up. So pretty easy normally. So in this case we're going to roll the 2 copper for the grappling. Just need 1 success. Oh, and we didn't get it, so he failed to pick him up. So at this point I was hoping to pick him up and then move closer with him because he's only got a throw range of 2. But I think I am just going to kind of have him bug out just a little bit, get back towards the turnbuckle. So he's still got, let's see, 4 movement left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the last character to activate here is the human Brawler. He's going to do 1 AP off the rope. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then he has 4 movement. So 1, 2, 3. He's going to tuck in there. He's going to be vulnerable to this guy, but he wants to lay a little bit more of a smackdown on him because he's already taken some damage. So we're going to use our last 3 action points to just do attacks. So this is the attack here, a copper and a silver +1, and then this is going to be the defense there of the orc. So we're going to roll the attack first, and so that is 1. We're going to roll that. So that is 3, so it's only a difference of 2. So he didn't reverse it, so we'll do it again. Oh, 0, this could be bad. Or 0 + 1 is 1, and that's 2, so nothing. He's going to try it again. He's going to roll the crowd die, so it's a blank, which is nothing, so he gets to do it. And then that's a total of 4 there, and now we're going to roll the defense there, so that's 2. So he did get 1 damage in on the Brawler. So we'll go ahead and mark another damage here on the Brawler. So the last character now to activate is going to be the Orc Grappler, and this guy's kind of moved into his trap here, so he's going to move 1, 2, 3. He's going to move right up in there, and he's going to activate now his Crowd Pleaser ability, hopefully. So it's a little bit of a risk here. He's only got the 4 activation points. This is going to cost him 2 activation, but if we take a look at the Crowd Pleaser, you're going to roll this die. Let's see if we even get it. Oh, we did get it. We did get a cheer. So now for the until their next activation, the grapple becomes 3 silver plus 1, and instead of, if we look at the grappling here, 2 silver plus a copper. So it's a little bit more of a guaranteed. So he's now going to try to pick him up, and he has a very low grappling. So first we're going to do 3 silver plus 1. That is more than enough because the Brawler only has the 1 silver and they got nothing. So when you try to do a lift, there's no beat down or anything like that, so there's no extra damage. So we just beat it handily. But now we're going to try to throw him outside of the ring here. So we can see the Grappler's throw is 4, and you probably can't see behind it. So he's picked him up. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's plenty. And so now we're going to roll the dex of the Grappler, or excuse me, the Brawler, and they only have a dex of a silver and a copper. So they need at least 3. Oh, and they got Zippo. So this guy's now been tossed out of the ring. So we'll go ahead and just remove this card. I'll just flip it over and then lay his model there like so. And so that is now 1 up for the Green Bruisers. So all the models have activated. We're going to go into round 2. The initiative card is going to now be passed to whoever didn't have it. Now this player will be the first one to decide which one they're going to activate for the initiative roll. So we'll untap everybody. So this is an interesting decision because you might want to activate somebody or choose somebody to roll the initiative with a very high dex. Like this guy here, Gun, he's got a gold and a copper he can roll. But maybe he's not the one that we really want to activate with first. Maybe we would want to activate with this fella here because we know he can just pick him up and toss him and bug out of there. So we're going to go ahead and nominate him. That's the Brawler. He only rolls 2 bronze. So now the human player, knowing that, can figure out who they want to try to roll with the initiative. And I think we're just going to go ahead and choose him because he's got a little bit higher of initiative and he's in somewhat of a position where he can react to the situation going on here. So we've got the 2 copper for the initiative there. He gets a success of 1. And then the other guy's got a silver and a copper and he got 2. So the human player now will get the initiative card back and they have to now activate that fellow there. So he's now going to just move over to here. He's going to move 1 spot and just kind of put a little bit of a wall between him and these other guys here, so none of the other guys can easily get in here. Now these guys can easily just go around and stuff, but he's also got the extra activation there. And you know what, instead of, I just thought of this, you can actually pick up your own wrestlers. Sometimes you might actually want to throw them onto a turnbuckle. You'll have to roll to see if you actually do that, but you can try that as a kind of last effort. But I'm going to try to pick him up and just throw them away because he's got that extra activation. So we're going to use 1 activation to try to lift it and then maybe another one to try to throw it. And in this case, you just have to roll higher than its weight. Now, so he's got a weight of 1. So we're going to roll the grapple here. The 2, he got plenty there. So that's his ability is copper and silver plus 1. So that's plenty. So he's picked him up. And then now he's going to throw him his distance of 4. So if we zoom out just a tiny bit here, we're going to throw him all the way down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and pick him down here. And so hopefully he can have some time to maybe recover down there. So that was basically using his free activation to do that. So now he's got 3 activation points left. He can try to maybe do a little bit of damage here. He doesn't have very good attack, especially with his defense. He's kind of outnumbered there. He's only moved once. 1 space now. So he's still got 3 movements. So he can move back down here. 1, 2. Put him there. Let's just, I don't want him next to the rope. Actually, no, that might come in handy. We're going to move him down here like that. And now he's going to try to lift up this wrestler here. So now he's going to try to pick him up. He's got the copper and silver plus 1. So we're going to roll that. And so he's got 3 total there. And the grapple on the goblin there is just the copper there. So he does pick him up. So we'll lift him off. And now we need to throw him off the board. So he's obviously going to try to throw him this direction. But again, he's got 3 copper for his dexterity. So let's see if we can get the 3. Oh, he does get the 3 there just on the 1 copper. So very, very lucky. So we're going to put him in closest that we possibly can. So I'm just going to put him down here, which is very inconvenient for him. And he can't try to pick him up again. You can't try to pick him up twice in the same round, the same enemy wrestler. So he's just going to go ahead and try to punch him. So that's going to be a silver, which is nothing, to a copper, which is 1. So that's nothing there. So his activation is now over. Now the Green Bruiser has to activate the Orc Brawler because remember they selected him for the dexterity test. He's already got 4 damage there. So he's about halfway to being knocked out. And so I think he wants to get away from this fella here. Now there's not really any easy targets for him because the little fellows are all over here in the corner like so. So I think what he's going to try to do is he's really in a bind because he could try to get some punches off on him. He may get reversed though because he's got pretty good defense. But I think, you know, there's not really much else that he can really do in this situation. So he's going to try to get a couple of blows off and then run away. So we'll go ahead and roll his attack, which is 2 silver and a bronze. So that's 3 successes there. And then the defense is 3 silver. So that's also 3 successes. We'll go ahead and try it one more time. That's 4 successes, and then the 3 silver is all blanks. So he does get 1 damage off on the ogre. Now he's not going to try it a third time because he doesn't want to waste that action, so he's going to move away. He's going to sneak back here, so he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, tuck back in behind the troll, and then he's going to roll his crowd pleaser ability. He's got a popularity of 2, so he's got enough action points. He attacked twice. He's going to use the remaining 2 action points to try the crowd pleaser. This is going to give all friendly wrestlers gain a +1 movement counter. So that could come in handy, so let's sort of roll that. And he got a boo, which is terrible. So he's actually going to get a -1 activation counter on his next turn. So took a shot. I think the ogre's going to activate now. So he's going to be a little bit defensive because he's taking some damage. I think he wants to try to work back, and maybe we'll kind of work back in slowly. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 like that, just to protect the little fellow there. And then he's not going to roll his activation or his crowd pleaser or anything like that because I don't want to risk it going off and failing. So that's his activation. There's a couple of things that Green Bruiser could do. Let's try. I could have him try to activate to get away, but you know you got to end up doing something. So we're going to take a risk. We're going to leave him there. We're going to activate Gun. Now Gun's got a movement of 4. He's going to go 1, 2, 3 like that, just to kind of add a little bit of a protection there. Now he does have the negative activation counter, which we're going to go ahead and remove off his card. So he's only got 3 activation points left. So let's go ahead and have him try to do an attack here. Now he's got an attack of 3 silver, and then his target here has a defense of 2 silver. So we'll roll these first. So that's 3, and we're going to go ahead and roll 2. So that was 5, so nothing. So we'll try it again. Ooh, so that's 1. This could be bad. And that is 4. So that's actually going to be, no, that's not a reversal. That was almost a reversal. So he could do it again and risk getting another negative activation counter on him. I think, you know what, we're going to go ahead and do that. So let's roll the crowd die. You got to cheer, so he's okay, so he can do it. So he gets that 3rd attack in. So 3, and it's going to be 3 attack to defense of 0. So he is going to do 1 more damage here on this character, which if you're keeping track at home is now 3. So he got a little bit of damage on there. Not quite as much as we would have wanted, but he's got a pretty decent defense here for this fella. So I think next we're going to activate Ronnie Salvage. I would like him to have a movement of 4 to jump up there, but he's only got a movement of 3, so we're going to move here. A little bit of a risk in this case. He's got a really cool turnbuckle ability, but we're just going to go over here and start to wail on Mr. Gun here. In actual fact, I'm going to use his rope ability. It costs you 2 AP to do that, so I'm going to use that off and try to charge at him that way. Now that's got a 2 silver, 1 copper, but it is going to knock him down. It's only going to do 1 damage, so let's do that. So we got 5 successes there, and we're going to roll the defense here, which is actually a gold and a silver for Mr. Gun. And he only got 2 successes. So it's only going to do 1 damage to him. Doesn't do a lot, but it's now knocked him down, which instantly reduces his defense to 0. So that costs us 2 activation points. We've got 3 more, and we're just going to use that now to wail on him 3 times. So we're hoping here, if you're the salvage player, to get a beatdown. So we got 1, so that's just 1 damage. Second time, that's just another damage. So we're going to do the third same activation, so we've got to roll here the crowd die. And he got a boo there, so that's going to cancel that. But we did get 2 damage, more damage onto him. And unfortunately, he's going to get a negative activation counter on the following round. But the nice thing is he's knocked down until he can activate again on his following round to try to get back up. So he's pretty vulnerable here for the duration of this round. Now back to the green player's turn. We can activate him now. He's pretty safe. He's relatively surrounded. Both of these guys have activated. He's knocked down. Somebody could try to get into here. He could try to sneak out, but that's just going to make him more vulnerable. So what I think I'm going to do actually is have him go move once and then use an activation point to get up there, he's going to do a little bit of a turnbuckle type action. Now these guys have the same defense. They each have 2 silver, but he's got some damage on him. So he's going to use a turnbuckle ability there. So he's just going to do it and plop it down. Let's see, he's going to land on this side of him here, so maybe he can bug out up north there. So he's going to do that. Now he gets to do this at 4 copper, and he will do that against 2 silver defense there. So we'll just go ahead and roll that right here. And it looks like we got 4 to 5 right there. So that did succeed. That is actually a 3 damage ability. So that's going to put him at 6 damage. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that he can get. So he can only take 1 more damage. So I think for our last activation point, we're just going to try to hit him. Now he's got 2 silver defense, so it could backfire. And our attacker only has the 2 copper attack. So we'll go ahead and roll these. Not good. So nothing happened, but we still got some movement to get away here. So we've got 4 movement points. I'm tempted to leave him there because he only needs 1 more damage to get knocked out, but he's pretty weak. So I'm just going to have him bug out here and go 1, 2, 3, 4 over there. So the human players don't really have a ton of options. We got this guy parked up on a turnbuckle for no reason at this point. And this guy here is knocked down and knocked out. So we're just going to go ahead and activate him to try to get him up. So in this case, all you do on this turn here is try to get him up, and you want to roll a cheer and nothing else. So we did. We rolled a cheer there. So that allows us to remove the KO counter. And we're going to go ahead and stand up, and that'll actually use up an activation point at this point, standing up. Now if we'd failed, which would have ended the activation, that would have been it. He would have stayed knocked out. But now he's got 4 more activation points left. He doesn't have quite enough movement here to get over here and try to toss a gun out of the ring. So these guys are relatively weak, so they've got to be a little bit careful with them in terms of moving them around. So I think he's only got 1 stamina left on his card as well. So when you stand up or you recover from a knockout, you've just got 1 hit point left. So you're still pretty vulnerable. I think we are going to have him just move this way though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, just to help his friends, because I mean, why not? You got multiple opportunities to take some different activations on this side here. So let's go ahead and activate the troll. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 3 this way. Let's leave him here. So 3. Now I could activate his crowd ability. I want to do it in a turn where I can use it this turn and the next turn, because it's going to bump up the attacks. And I don't want to use it on a turn where it doesn't do anything, because what it says here, so the wrestler's brawl attack deals 2 damage until the end of its next activation. So if I do it now and fail, it stinks because I lose that. I could lose an activation point, and if I do succeed, he's not going to be able to hit anything this turn. So I kind of want to keep it. That's why I didn't activate it the first round. And he's only got 3 activation points total. He's big and beefy, but he doesn't get to do a ton, during the round. So I'm just going to do that for his turn. Now the only other player to activate here is this guy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he could do a drop on this guy. So I guess we should probably make use of him. He's been sitting on this turnbuckle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So you can hit him, and then I'll have him land right now. He's in the way that way. Yep, I think that's as good a spot as any, because he's still kind of sort of protected on this side. And so he is going to activate that different ability there. So that is going to use 3 of his 5 activation points, 2 silver, 1 copper. It does 2 damage, and it's going to do a shove. So I can actually move that guy into a position where it's not just pushing back 2 spaces, basically. So 2 silver, 1 copper. We'll roll that in there. Only 2 successes. That's going to go against 1 silver and 2 copper. And 2 successes. So that was a failure. So now he's very, very much in harm's way. Now there's really no sense of having him attack that guy, because he's probably going to get reversed on. So we're going to go ahead and just move 4 back. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to have him do his crowdsourcing, because he's going to get a +1 movement and +1 AP if he succeeds. So he does not. And the only thing left to do, that is all of the activations for the human player. So we have the Goblin Grappler and the Orc Grappler there. And I think there's something we can do here. So we've got 5 activation points. We're going to use 1. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's bouncing off the rope. So he's got now a couple of movements. We're going to go 1, 2, move next to him. Now he's going to try something a little interesting. So you notice he's still got 3 movement points left. So I'm going to try to pick up gun, but I'm first going to try a crowd pleaser. So we're going to spend 2 activation points. Oh, we got a boo, so that's no good. I was trying to get it so he can throw of a range of 4, have him move out of the way carrying gun, and then be in a position where he could get behind the blue fellow. He's still got a couple of movements. He could have tried to move away, toss him, and then be in a little better position. He's a little bit more vulnerable down here, but it failed. And in this case, we're just going to have the grappler move is 4. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and just kind of keep away from the big fella and try to pick off maybe some of these smaller guys down here. So that is the end of round 2. We're going to go into round 3 now.